All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 11:14. I need a motion, please, to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Oops, public comments. Vaughn, did you have something you'd like to bring to us? No? All right. And we have no public comments. Moving on, treasurer's report. Have not heard from our treasurer this morning, so I'm assuming that at some point, she will appear or send us some information here about what's going on. Marketing, promotions, communications. Virgil and I were just talking about trying to get our meeting scheduled together. We didn't have a meeting this last month. Not quite sure what fell through. I did go to a conference, so I wasn't present to attend, but we're going to try to get that back on board.
Yeah, John and I talked a little bit on the phone. I don't know, either of us. I said, John and I talked a little bit on the phone about that schedule. We talked that day, and he wasn't able to make it, and we didn't know what was happening with the other board members. He did say that you weren't going to be there, but I didn't know what was happening with Nick, nor did I know how to contact him. We're hoping to get that schedule tied down where we know that everybody can show up, so that when we call a meeting, we'll at least have some business to take care of and someone to take care of the business with. But
So, is it supposedly Thursdays at 4:30 or a Thursday at 4:30?
Thursday, we started it out every Thursday at 4:30, which seems to be a lot. Every Thursday at 4:30. So Rich and I just talked about it, if it works more convenient for everybody to have it at every other Thursday. We don't necessarily meet routine. We just need to get on two things that we're dealing with in the communication committee, and that is the website and the list. The list is already done. We just need to kind of get it where everybody can work in it. So that I was asking someone to create a Google worksheet where we can all have access to it, where we can put information in the sheet as we need to, any changes that need to be made. And that's still, I need to get with Nick and find out exactly how that's happening, or if it's going to happen. If not, I need to find somebody else to do it. I don't know how to create a Google sheet. And plus, I don't know if, and someone probably could answer this for me, I don't know if I created a Google sheet and everyone doesn't have a Google email account, whether they would be able to use it.
I believe the answer is yes.
They would be able to. We can invite people to
Excuse me,
to
if
be
you will.
editors on it.
When you say everyone, who are we referring to having access?
Yeah, committee members of the communication committee. Yeah, and probably extend it to more if someone can have information that's valuable. That is valuable to the list. I'm not used to pushing buttons when I talk, only my button inside, yeah. But anyone that's on the board or the committee that can contribute to the list, we want them to have access to it, to put information in, add information in if there's something missing, or correct information if there's something that is incorrect.
No, that's a communication committee of the DDA?
Of the DDA.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I asked because I want to suggest that we limit, don't want any public putting anything on it, anything like that,
no.
because there are liability issues that go with these kinds of things.
Okay.
I would suggest
Mostly-
before it's made public, it's got a lot of grooming to do.
It's not going to be public. The point of the
We're not
list,
talking public, we're talking about,
right, is for us to work with internally so we know how to contact people who are in the DDA district, and then also to be able to call on them and talk to them about what the projects are in the downtown district, to work with them to put together a calendar of events, and those types of things that will help us to promote and grow downtown.
It's a functional and specific contact list.
It's trying to be composed. And so that's where it will be housed at, just the information in association with it.
Yeah. So thank you for your efforts to this point, and I think we're gonna get the rest of that nailed down real
Those
quick.
numbers, I'll make sure that we
Yes.
at least get the people there that is willing to be there.
Yep, I made a note. I'll give you the information after the meeting.
Who I can call rather than sending an email. I've done that.
Okay. Michigan Main Street's Welcome Center. We had lots to talk about. I actually did have an opportunity to go to the Michigan Downtown Association conference and learn a little bit more about how people are making use of Main Streets, but also some of the other things that they're doing to try to make their downtowns better. And there are a number of workshops or sessions that they did at the conference that are going to be available for us to use as training. So we'll be able to share what I picked up while I was there through those trainings, and we can make use of that. So I think it's going to be very helpful to us. I had a chance to meet some of the people who are involved in the Michigan Main Streets program with the State Historic Preservation Office and MEDC. I think that was helpful. And then, Richard, we talked about a few things. You want to give us an update from your point of view?
You took a lot in, that was great. We've got a lot of work to do. I think prior to your conference, we had a meeting about plantings and improvements, visual improvements in the downtown area. That's a work in progress. That's about all I've got right now.
So the conference that you attended, it was strictly for like a DDA related?
Michigan Downtown Association. So professional downtown managers, some DDA people, some city staff people from different cities who are involved in their community and economic development departments, and State Historic Preservation Office and Michigan Economic Development Corporation. There were classes on how to get rid of the things that are dragging your city down, how to position your downtown with developers, attracting the type of development you want, and ways to work to provide incentives, some planning concerns as they relate to downtown. And a number of different communities talked about how they use TIF funding or how they are funded. A number of them, one in particular I can think of, was a third funded through parking fees. And that money gets reinvested in plantings and maintenance of the downtown along with their TIF money. Other people, their groups are funded directly by the cities outside of the TIF.
I asked because I would be interested in going to some conferences or something of that nature for structured trainings or, processes and procedures in relation to the DDA.
I think that's something for 2025 we're going to want to do some fundraising to do. That conference would be helpful to all the board members. I don't recall where the conference will be next year, but it would be very expensive for individuals to go and stay someplace. I was fortunate enough to have some place to stay. And this year, there was enough money in the budget somewhere to pay for it through the city, but to send 9 or 10 of us to, I think, I can't remember where the next place is going to be, is going to be beyond what the city can pay for, and probably needs to be paid for through money that we raised to do that. So I think that's something we can do. We
So is
just
it
need to-
annual?
Yeah, they
Oh,
do
so-
an annual conference.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know if there was like additional or other things that may come about aside from this one is what I meant in regards to trainings. I know we were doing videos and different things. I'm like
Yeah.
hands-on
Right.
and in person is helpful. So I don't know, I know it would run across your desk versus ours, being a part of the planning commission and other things you're a part
Right.
of. So just to know about some opportunities similar would be awesome.
You were going to be able to share some of the content of that meeting, which we should be able to benefit by your being there.
Right, right. We will have access to that stuff electronically. I haven't received the link yet, but there'll be links for the different things that I went to.
There is, yeah.
So for the breakaway? For breakaway sessions, yeah, because Virgil was just asking, like, were there any recordings of
Yeah,
everything?
yeah.
Okay,
So the recordings are going to be made available to me, and when they are, then we can sit down and look at them together. And so here, 2025 dates. There's Legislative Advocacy Day, March 4th. The Michigan State House of Representatives. There's a spring workshop on March 5th in Old Town Lansing. Summer workshop in June and 5th in Traverse City. The annual conference next year will be in downtown Rochester, and that's from the 6th to the 7th. So if you want to make some notes of those things. And then also they do Downtown Day, which is something that they encourage people to do in their own downtowns, which is to celebrate your downtown, and that's September 27th. Yeah. So. One other thing, we kind of have been adopted by Farmington. They're very interested in what we're doing here. They want to come and spend time, and they'd like to show off their downtown and talk more specifically about what they've been doing. Their downtown director was one of the presenters at the conference, and just very sharp, and I think she'd be a great mentor to us all.
Just a question, was Niles attending there?
No, Niles wasn't there this time.
Just a reminder to us all, Niles offered to be our mentor, and they're way closer than Farmington is. So anytime, just like Vaughn is here today, we could attend a meeting. I think maybe ask, but attend their meetings and learn a lot. Pretty active.
Sure.
and
Yes. Yep. So, Niles DDA meets on the first Thursday of the month at 4:30 at their city hall. And anyone can go, it's a public meeting like ours. Lisa Cruteau is the director of the DDA. She's been there for, I believe, 20 years. And has lots of experience. They did a historic district in their downtown while she was there, and then became a Michigan Main Streets community as a result of it, and have been able to enjoy state support for marketing and promoting downtown Niles. So it's definitely something that's possible. Just have to get some momentum behind it. And I'm sure she'd be very interested in talking about those things with any of us. I want to give you an update on the social district. We have our first.
Question. So will the Main Street meetings be second Wednesdays at 11 o'clock?
Yep. We've been meeting pretty regularly, so if you're available.
Second Thursday, is it?
Second Thursday, yep. Yep.
Who's on the committee?
Richard and I think we have Virgil down, but you've
I've
come a
been to-
couple
I've been
times.
to one a time or two.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I've kept the schedule or not.
No, but we appreciate it when you come.
And this is a consistent date,
Yeah.
11 o'clock on Thursday,
Yep.
second Thursday.
We hope to get our work done or be prepared to talk to everyone at the board the next week. So for social district, we do have our first place. The brick house is up and ready to go. They got their approval from the state back. The city has approved it, and they are in the process of printing their labels to get ready to start serving. So I think at this point, we're still needing to get the signs up for the district and the trash cans.
What's the situation with the rest of the businesses? Why are they not submitting their information?
I think it has something to do with timing. They're not seeing much of a advantage to doing it right now. I think that the people I've talked to are thinking that maybe they'll start up in the spring.
Maybe I'm missing something, but what difference does it make whether they did it now or in the spring? There's no additional cost to them.
Just in terms of the cost to them to do whatever they have to do with their applications and all that stuff. So I don't know.
See, I don't think we're going to want to put up signs and start a full operation for one business. If we're going to do the thing, we need to do it.
Okay.
A meeting would be nice because this is, I guess, more or less in combination with the Arts Association, who has actually filed the paperwork and did the submission of everything. I know Rich, you actually helped with some highlights and some different things in regards to information associated with it. But I'm just asking, just because, so that we can be on the same page in regards to the city, the DDA, and the Arts Association. So we don't have duplicate conversations with business owners, all of those different details. We actually have a rescheduled meeting so I can inquire the Arts Association, so I can inquire about that. But just, I don't see the same conversation everywhere, or even, for example, with the city in regards to how we're doing this. And I know some businesses have reported feeling like they're talking to multiple people about the same thing.
Let's
I
have
do
that
know,
meeting. I'd like to have that.
right, and I do know that multiple people are speaking to them and that they've gotten exactly what they need to do. That came from the clerk, and I took it to them directly. I've spoken to them a number of times about where they are in the process, and those are the answers I've gotten back from the people I've been able to speak to. And I was just in contact with Chris Hayes at the Brick House about this. I mean, they've been contacting me to talk with me about where they are with things and getting what they need. So Cornerstone has produced all the stuff that they need. We've been able to request and get it to the businesses when they need it or wanted it. And to this point, that they're the only people who are ready, who have gone through the whole process at this point, is the Brick House.
So again, I think a meeting would be good, just so everybody can be on the same page and have the same information at the same time, to include the city. So even if we had like a united front, 'cause some people are thinking it's Cornerstone, some people are thinking it's the DDA, and we're all like kind of divided. So just for the sake of collaborating on something that we all want. So it's not that nobody wants it. This isn't like a debate, of any sort. But I think that would be really helpful. And I wanted to play a part, basically being on both committees, so that way I can understand it as well, so that when I'm at one, it should be the same if we're all doing the same things. And if we have to designate a person to do a task, and so that it's not duplicated.
I'd like to set that meeting up as quickly as we can because I want to know what's going on. The commissioner's asking me, is it something they've decided they don't want or what the deal is?
None of the businesses who went through the process at this point are not wanting to do it. It's just a matter of timing for them.
Yeah, and it was like additional details that I felt like we could all discuss too, because one of the businesses, I don't know if it was Brick House or whoever, had their liquor license attached to another address or another business. So different things just to
That's
to work out.
All of that has been worked out. All
Right.
of that has been worked out. All of it has been done through the clerk's office. She
And
is
no, it's fine. But I
Right,
just
so
meant,
she's
like,
the
the-
person who put together one package that has all the information in it,
Mm-hmm.
and all the businesses have seen it, and all of the businesses have taken the next step beyond that. So now we're just to the point where they each individually have to sign that, turn it over to the city, and then pay the state for their license from the state. So that's where things have stopped.
Yeah,
Is
no.
that they have not chosen yet to do that. So as far as the organizational piece on our end, I understand a meeting, but I don't think it would be good time for the businesses to bring them into a meeting with a group of people.
We're not talking
It's
about
not
the
with the
businesses.
group.
We're talking
And then-
about,
I want to meet with them.
Right, and then I think that's something that is a different thing. So, that's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
What is the amount of the fee they have to pay to the state? Do you recall?
270 something, I think. And then, of course, they're paying the fee to the city, but I believe they've already paid the fee to the city.
Let's get with the clerk and get that, see if we can get that set up within the next couple of weeks.
If
Sounds
it
good.
doesn't exist, and I think it may, but maybe it's in long form, just a bullet list, check items, I think it probably exists in some form.
Oh, the clerk put
To do-
together.
yeah, I think she did a great job.
An exhaustive.
Right.
Thing with all of the rules that are expected, the copies of the ordinances of the city's ordinance, the copy of the maintenance plan, and the fees and all of the stuff that the commission has put together, and all of the contact people. And all of that was hand-delivered to each business. So we know that they have it. We do know that they're interested. It's just, we don't know the current individual reasons for not moving forward. And so a small discussion with people about that, perhaps with the manager or the manager and the clerk, to see if there are obstacles we could clear as a city, I think might be helpful.
So, I'm sorry, city manager, if you could maybe have Rona from your schedule, and I would like to be included, I'm sure.
I'd like to invite all of the DDA members and all of the Arts District people, so we've got everybody together. Because I would have thought that this Christmas season would have been an opportunity where that might have practical usage. I mean, people able to just walk around from business to business downtown, and I would have thought that would have been one of the objectives.
So,
Rich, did you-
all right.
Did you mention are there additional trash cans that are part of that program that are going to be located throughout the district?
Well, we asked that in areas especially where there weren't any, because there are parts of the district that don't have any trash cans for the public to use, that we get some extra ones out that, we have a number of blocks that don't have any on the street corners.
And we'll do that. We'll get that.
It makes sense to do that sort of in conjunction with the time and the actual launch then.
The city would benefit by litter cans at convenient locations every day of the week.
So are these the recycle ones that we, right, so yeah, a meeting would be nice, because I have questions too, and I know some of the questions that were, or some of these topics were brought up by this commission, especially the recycle container, or having, some kind of recyclable, so I know you're saying a trash can, what would the recycle consist of? So just like a meeting, so we can move on from here for now, but a meeting would be great.
Right. All those issues were discussed by the partnership, and at this point, nobody's moving forward with recycling. That was a decision that was made by the people who are involved in this partnership, including the Arts Association, Cornerstone, the city, and unfortunately us. We're agreeing to it at this point because the city doesn't have a plan for recycling, and there is no money in these fees to cover the cost of adding some sort of recycling service. The $50 fee that people are paying is strictly just to cover some of the time it took to organize the stuff that the city had to organize, and also, a few dollars would be left over for these extra trash cans. It doesn't even cover the cost of emptying the trash cans throughout the year.
So like a meeting would be nice, like we're referencing we, but I don't know what I've learned from the social district as a part of the DDA. So, and then I would like for it to be consistent from, whatever vantage point I'm coming from, even as a community member, right? Or advocate. So if we could have a meeting, that way I could ask some questions that I have. I don't want to take up more time during our meeting.
And I would like to simply get it going if we're going to get it going, or if we're not, let's say so and move on.
Because all of the process moving forward for one business would be,
Well, we get the advantage of, in the walkable section of downtown, we get the advantage of having this amenity in place. So whether it's all up and running at once or it's done, incrementally, I think there is an advantage, to your point, Mr. Little, about the holiday season coming up. The location of the brick house relative to the other places that are walkable isn't bad. We really won't have much more. Mason Jar is the next one nearest, but that does present an opportunity for a start anyway. So that meeting could be discussed. All of this could be discussed there.
That would be good, because one of my concerns would be if we were to try to roll it out for just one business, I see us having another problem if people start to see people walking around. Next thing you know, we got people with cups that don't come from anybody. And how you're going to, I don't want it to become a major policing problem. If we go ahead and businesses, if they want it, go ahead and move it along, then we probably would not have that kind of problem.
Okay.
A physical, the labeling and all that would need to happen before even one business starts to activate the system.
The labeling is on the businesses, and the labels have all been produced. I mean, the files have been produced with the artwork, distributed to the businesses, and they have been given a source for how to get the labels printed if they choose to order them and go ahead with stuff, and that's where Brick House is at this point, planning to do that. And so, again.
My
that's-
topic was more of the geographical labeling.
Right, oh, well, yeah, they'll be marked.
We'll have to do that. That'll be necessary before day one.
Right, and that, I think that's also part of this conversation of, do you put up the signs and have one business, or do you wait to put up the signs and launch the whole thing when you have several? So, either way, we need to be in touch with everybody to figure that out.
Right, and so do all the board members know what we're talking about right now?
Talking about the social district, right?
Okay.
I don't know a lot about the social district because I've never seen it. I've heard a lot of talk about it, but how it works and the mechanics of it all.
Right, and what our role in it would be?
Yeah.
And there is one right next to us in St. Joe, if you want to just go over and,
Experience there, sort of experience there. I saw the signs that they got on the sidewalk showing what the district is and what the area is.
Sorry.
Yes, St. Joe.
It's so that, and Richard could really probably attest to this, if they don't use the mic and trying to hear it later on YouTube, we won't be able to hear each other. So that's what the mic is for. It's not for us in here. It's so that it'll project through the system in the recording process.
That's the importance of it. You want to be heard, right? Well, not necessarily. I want to be heard in this room.
Okay, so let's move on.
I'm
We
sorry.
are all in
Rich,
agreement.
I can actually see the advantage to the meeting, especially with Mr. Little, so that they can get on board. I mean, as far as where are you at with this? Is it a go? Are we going to proceed? Or, what's our next status?
Yeah, I think we're all in consensus on that. I think Mr. Little, you said Tiffany would be sending them out? Okay, great. All right, moving on, we've got an electric bill to pay. If we have a motion, please, to pay the electric bill. Okay,
I so move.
okay. Roger, oops, and, all right, it's been proposed, anyway, all in favor, signify by aye. Okay, motion passes.
A question?
Sure.
So how long are we staying open?
We're staying open through, continuing to stay open. Yeah. Yeah. We got, our lease was extended, and we're paid through December. In December, we'll talk about January on, but yep.
No, I just have some ideas for winter activities and fun. I know we have to get permission to use the grass around us, right? For like snowballs,
No.
snowmen, snow angels. So,
No.
because it's not all ours.
It
What,
is.
is all of it to this other building?
Well, not all the way to the building, but,
All owned by our landlord.
Oh, right. Okay, duh. That's what it is. He all owns, it's so,
right.
okay, I have to remember though, because I think before I was
You
the art
have-
association.
Right, the Arts Association
take my
has
hat
to get
off. Which
permission,
hat?
right, to use any of that, but we're paying the rent for one whole section of that property. You know where there's a change in the elevation, it starts to sink? We go right up to that concrete piece that's right there. So we've got one whole big chunk that belongs with the DDA. And as long as we're in it, it's ours. That's that. We're still working out details with a mural. That murals project has turned into kind of a strange thing. I mean, the overall larger murals project. Well, I don't know, there was a public announcement about trying to paint 20 murals in downtown Benton Harbor. A project proposed by two people from out of town who decided they were going to change our culture here in Benton Harbor by hiring artists from somewhere else to paint 20 murals on our buildings downtown. But then, of course, they need $200,000 to do it. There was a moment where, in conversation with ARS, who had been a part of that we would coordinate a muralist with them, as long as we could get relevant content to Benton Harbor and a local artist. that that relationship and that whole thing is still being worked out. It sounds like the larger mural project is still proceeding in some way, but the one mural you do see was paid for by ARS, and they did the work to put that mural up. So we're still likely to coordinate with them, with ARS, not with the larger project.
I think there's a little bit more work that's got to be done on that. Whirlpool is supportive of that project. With Stephanie leaving, kind of created a little bit of a void there, but I think that project is still going to be going forward, and we'll need to be involved with it. I think there's just a little bit more preparatory work that has to get done on it, though.
So do we have some information on that? Like in regards to, because I've heard about it in different settings, right? So like our role or, I mean, in regards to even choosing an artist as how you reference it, like, so if it's not this larger entity that's from some other place trying to come here. So like how, I know, but aside from us, well, not aside from us, with us being the DDA, what was our role? Did they come to us or is it just?
No, this project that we have here on the agenda was based on the idea that we wanted to renovate the deck to create better access, and that we wanted then, because the building needs to be painted, that we wanted to investigate murals on it, not simply just repaint it blue, but to look at other ways that it could be perhaps enhanced. In the meantime, the Chamber of Commerce has brought us that large sign, and that was the area where we had initially talked about putting a mural with the Girl Scouts in St. Joe having raised money. They wanted to pay an artist to come and put up a mural somewhere, and they asked if we would consider being a site. In the meantime, the Girl Scouts have gone in a different direction. The Chamber of Commerce brought the big sign, which is still there for a while. They're thinking that the sign will travel. I don't know when they plan to relocate it, but in the meantime, we're enjoying having people come to the Welcome Center and seeing us from a block away. And the grant program that would fund this is a Hometowns grant through T-Mobile, but with their cycle, all of this stuff came together just as they were making their decisions for this year. So we have until next fall to get together whatever it is we're going to do. ARS, Anna, had contacted me to say, would we be interested in being part of a larger project? And I said, well, we're interested in talking about it as long as the criticisms of previous mural efforts in Benton Harbor didn't fall on deaf ears. There was a concern among the people in the Arts District who are artists that if we're spending money to pay an artist to do work, that they be considered. And then if we're doing a mural in Benton Harbor, that the content of the mural, the subject matter, should be relative to its location and to our culture and our city. So that's where we've kind of stopped.
And I think those are good points. Let me explore the possibility to see if they could maybe our next meeting come in and just do a presentation on it as to what they're talking about, because I recall in the discussion that I was in, there being a good bit of discussion about making sure local artists got involved in it, possibly the schools through our youth who have interest in being involved with art. And I think if there's something going to go forward, we'd have a chance to help shape how that goes. Let's just get more information on it and find out.
Great, thanks. So hopefully we get that piece sorted out in time to write the grant to get it to them before September of next year for our grant and our mural and deck, whatever else happens. So see, Downtown Design Committee, I'll talk a little bit more about plantings. We had a meeting with Chris Cook. He's talking with people about this idea of creating a business improvement zone. To do that, it's a technique that some communities use to improve specific areas of their city. It's an additional tax that they pay, and then they designate an area and get the people in the area to vote to agree to tax themselves an extra amount and for the projects that they decide they want to do. Our master plan has a list of things that we want to see in our downtown as far as equity and sustainability. We also have our those goals kind of require some planning on our part in more detail and some investment throughout downtown, not simply in one area or another. So we're trying to talk with them about getting support behind the TIF before you do anything along the way of an improvement zone. The TIF plan would cover the entire downtown district and not just a small section of downtown. And the projects that would fall under the TIF are projects that could include some of these things that we're talking about in one specific area, but also throughout. TIFs fund everything from purchasing property for rehabilitation to meet our equity goals, to replacing broken street lighting and other upgrades to infrastructure and plantings that need to take place. So for us, in general, DDAs are funded by TIFs, and their projects are all based on those development plans. So we're trying to negotiate with them or discuss with them, waiting on a BIZ, with Business Improvement Zone, BIZ, until at least we get the TIF in place. They have the same input that everyone else does in what gets done in a development plan through the engagement part of the process to put a TIF together. But those are not additional funds. They're not taxes on businesses or property owners. They are taxes that people are already paying. It's just a capture of an increment of the increase in value after properties are improved. So that's used to fund things. You can borrow money against it and do all the work at once, or you can do incremental improvements based on the plan that you submit when you create the TIF. So that's where we hope to go with that.
Could I share some input from the city perspective on that? We would really like to see the improvement zone go forward first and some commitment from the businesses in terms of doing it. As Rich says, it's not an additional tax, but that capture word is a little bit more than likely, because in essence, it's talking about increases in tax value in that district that would ordinarily flow to the city, the library, the school district, et cetera, being instead captured and used by DDA, which isn't a bad thing. That's how I funded a lot of the stuff that got done way back in the 80s. As a matter of fact, were it not for the DDA with its tax capture capability, Vincent Hotel would probably have wound up being a pile on the ground because the roof was caving in on it when I got a hold of it using DDA money and straightened that out and redid the roof and all the other stuff to get it reopened. Same thing with this building right back on the side of us here, because it was having the same problem that the Liberty Theater was having, and it was drains stopping up, water running down the inside of the walls, freezing and starting to bust them out. And we did quite an extensive program to try to save some buildings using DDA funds and so forth. But we also did a number of other things that had positive impact citywide, because we recognize that it was capturing limited revenues that the city otherwise might have needed. As a matter of fact, I recall us buying a fire truck and saying, hey, for DDA, but using it where you need to use it, you know, and several other things like that. You don't have to just, the key comes back to just how together that tax increment capturing process and that entity is with city in general, because it isn't without a cost. The city forgives or forgoes some of those revenues in order for that to happen.
So I have been in touch, I mentioned before, with McKenna Associates. They did give us a proposal, and I was just checking in with Paul again today. He hasn't gotten the funding lined up, but understands our priorities and agrees that we really do need to honor what we put in the master plan, which was to say that we wanted to see improvement throughout downtown, and that we wanted to see that things be done equitably. And that's a goal and the policy of the city. So once we've taken those steps and we have the TIF in place, then if these individual business property owners can convince a majority of the people in their area to tax themselves an extra amount, well, then that's out of their pocket. But we prefer to see equitable investment supported by on projects that are identified by the community as important. So that's why we've been appointed to represent the various aspects of the downtown community specifically, but we all live in the city for the most part or near it, and have some connection to the neighborhood, so we understand the importance of all of it.
I think I'd be doing you a disservice if I did not bring up this issue once again. And that is that DDA has a need to demonstrate a linkage to the community at large. Again, I say to you that there is a perception in this city among the residents that the downtown is after the downtown's interest and don't care anything about the community. I think I'm probably the best person to share that with you, and I think you need to take some strong action to do that. I don't think you heard what I said a few minutes ago. We'd like to see the contributions from the people in the downtown before we start talking about a tax capture. Because once again, just what I just mentioned, there needs to be a demonstration of connection with this community.
So we'll see where all of this goes once we hear back from McKenna. And yes, I think we do. I mean, if people have questions about the Downtown Development Authority or the relationships, there certainly are reasons that people have those questions. So we just need to be very clear that this is about carrying out what the community has said they want to see. And if people are looking at who's on this board, they will see familiar faces who are Benton Harbor people who do care about the neighborhoods. So I do think that to the extent that we can work with other groups, we need to, and I think we're trying to. We have partnerships throughout the city. And we also have the opportunity now with the state changes in law for the city to place TIFs in the neighborhoods in order to do neighborhood improvements. So that's a tool that didn't exist in 1980s that is now available. So TIFs for housing in neighborhoods, housing redevelopment, and also for the neighborhood commercial districts. So I think we've got maybe some improvements to what tools are in the toolbox for the city. And the TIF money that's captured is negotiated. So each of the taxing entities that are taxing the city residents has to be part of this TIF agreement. So the library, the schools, the LMC, the state of Michigan, the county, and the city are all part of those negotiations. By law, they have to be. They have to vote to agree.
Yeah, so I was actually going to follow up in regards to City Manager Little's comment, because I actually do get some people are like, what does the DDA do? What does the DDA show up? And it's the same conversation that I share with Rotary or Arts Association, anybody in regards to coming around to any events. And actually, Virgil, say we're somewhere and I'm a DDA member, right? And this is what we do. And this will help with membership. I know we're talking about getting people to be members or even just on committees, and they're like, what committee? What does the DDA do? So that is all of our responsibility. And it's not only having events, though. It is those separate encounters. So like, I was about to call you Chief. You're sitting there too. You remember those days. But even, in conversation or in, different ways, maybe we can have some kind of event at your space and saying, and actually indicating that it's the DDA and, come see what we do. These are some different things. I know we keep having, like different committees. And sometimes I feel like I haven't kept up with stuff, which again, it's, responsibility, accountability. And so I do think we need to do that. We need to show up so that it doesn't, because I've had someone say, you're on Rich's committee, like as if, it's a Richards thing. And it's like, no, this is a DDA. Well, the only one we hear in conversations or that are in rooms for business purposes is Rich. So we, that's why I said, hey, what do we know about the social district? Like almost as a wake up, let's, ask questions. Let's, ask about, what are we a part of? How are we a part of a mural project, right? And what does that look like? So when residents ask us, we can answer those questions because we, like Rich was just stating that we are common faces. So we can actually help with this push for the social district. Because again, people think in the city, in the inner city is thinking that it's something just for downtown, but it's not. And so we all have to, even if we have a blurb or something that we can pose as to, what this entails and, having the updates will be helpful. Because like, for example, if someone asks me, I'm like, oh, it's only one business so far. But just to be able to say, to give updates and, engage with the community, that's what, we're supposed to do.
And if I could just offer one final comment from me on the subject, you won't find anybody more supportive of the concept of what DDAs and TIFs are about and what they can do than myself. But at the same time, recognize my responsibilities are to the entire city. I communicate with these ministers, with people on the streets, the commission, and everybody. I have to. But what does it say, to me even, when we're saying we want the city to forego tax revenue and put it in the hands of DDA, but DDA's got a problem, the members, at least in the with putting up $270 for their own license. What's the message? Again, DDA should be and is a part of the total city, just like library is, housing commission, so forth. But there needs to be some demonstrated connection to this community, so that they get rid of the idea that downtown and DDA is about basically the white businesses in downtown looking after their interests and wanting things to be done, but doing nothing for the community.
That's, what you just said is saddens me for sure, to make it, to add color component to downtown, uptown, side town, I don't care.
It's there whether we do it or not. It's there.
It's, in my mind, we are stronger together. An amazing annual event that the DDA is a leader in, but maybe not the only, is the holiday, or the Halloween event, which draws people, so many smiling faces from everywhere, such polite little kids, really, really heartening. We can do, and in my mind, as far as including the community, we've got a lot of work to do in the downtown district. Not to exclude, certainly to work to include others. An event that we could do in the winter, you talked about an event, would be like a chili. You don't have to have boundaries painted on the sidewalk to wander the sidewalk with a bowl of chili. And that would be inclusive of restaurants and an opportunity for the rest of the city and other cities to come and find out who we are. That is a function that I think we can do at no cost. That is bringing us all together, which is creating community, which is why we are here, all of us. So it's not financial, it's showing our heart and sharing our heart.
That's
We'll
great.
get to
I think
finances
that's
when we get a
perfect.
few things off the list, and I think we can do that if we work together.
Yeah, Richard, you are everywhere, right? You are everywhere. And so that's what I mean in regards to, we have to be at events, like, at MLK, at somebody else's day, as members of the DDA. We can't expect them always to come to something of ours. Sometimes they'll come to something because they know who we are and that we are part of it. That's what I mean. That type of draw is one of the reasons why career wise or different. The outreach is outreach, whether it's from a committee standpoint, whether it is a job. Outreach is from us outward or going out. And Richard, you can't relate because you do all of that and some. So, and I'm not trying to say that nobody else does, but what I mean by you're just saying, hey, I go, you do. I mean, you'll pick up paper anywhere. I remember that's how we met. And you actually inspired me to actually be when I saw you were on some different things. And that's what I mean about pulling people in. Nobody is see you as the white guy. They see you as the guy that, comes to bat for different issues, will pick up paper anywhere, but shows up. Right? And that's what our community needs. We want that our community want people to come around, to show up, or be willing, like Lane, actually, have an event at almost free rate, Just what are we willing to do instead of expecting them to come learn about us? That's not how it always works. And so it needs to be a balance, because they're gonna need to show up. And then at the Halloween event, they don't know, I don't think from just how it happened, they don't really know how much we were involved. Right? They just know they came around in this area to get candy. They may not even know what the district really is. And so, and when we give out the candy, we're promoting something else that's happening. We're not really even talking about us because we're trying to, go on with the festivities. But even if we had some kind of little presentation when they came in, hey, come back to the Welcome Center. This can be a kid day at the Welcome Center. Things as to... It's just more outreach. You guys know I'm outreach community, and I'm thinking about, and I say I have the same conversation for Rotary, for Arts Associate, anybody. How many of us are seen outside of the meeting in the community?
And I
Thank
think
you,
it's
and
a
I agree
healthy
with that.
discussion, and I really agree with what Rich is saying, and definitely what she's saying, and that is not only them come to something that we have, But let's get out in the community and get involved. What about the schools? Well, how about DDA connecting with the schools? I belong to an organization that contributes $1,000 every year to support the Mr. and Mrs. Benton Harbor contest, also to support the nurses. When the Halloween event came up, somebody came to me about getting money from the city to buy the candy, and the finance people said, well, we're not supposed to do that. I wrote a personal check to pay for the candy. You know, I'm saying we have to reach out, get involved with school district, talk with, get involved with people throughout the community, and it becomes a two-way support kind of thing.
In addition to the Halloween that we did, the next outreach to the community, businesses and others, and to bring pride to all of us is the holiday lighting event, which is coming up. That is definitely a draw. We don't pat ourselves on the back for doing the things that we do. We do them because we want to do them and to build the community. So people may not be aware that it's a DDA event, but the DDA works to make a community thing. So that's our next topic, I think.
And every one of those things is a partnership on purpose. They were organized that way specifically to engage. So when it comes to the holiday lights, or excuse me, the Halloween celebration, we specifically pulled a group of people together. So we have the Benton Harbor schools. That's why we get the band every year. They actually distribute flyers to get the kids to come. The schools pay for the bus to bring people to the kids to perform. They've been a part of that from the very beginning, actually. St. Joseph Today does a lot of advertising about it, and they have members who are part of their group, but there are other people downtown who are not necessarily St. Joe Today members who are also taking part because we ask them and engage them every year. We have support from the Benton Harbor Public Safety Department. The fire department loves to come every year. We always give them a bag of candy or more so they can hand out something, and they're excited to be there, and the kids are really thrilled to see them. And then we have Public Works supporting us through, just the effort that they make to bring the stuff to close the streets and, look after it, ensure that the kids will be safe when we're holding that event, along with all the other small nonprofit groups who are organized and part of this. So when it comes to holiday lights, it's the library and the Benton Harbor area schools, again, who partner together along with the city. So we need to nourish the partnerships for sure. And, our marketing and communications committee is the one that can help us when we get things a little bit better organized, to get the word out about what's happening. Because we are doing these things, and we're open to doing more things. You've got some great ideas. We need to get them into, a schedule and make them happen. But we also need to make sure that as we do this, we're building the communications and engagement that we need to be successful. Without that, we don't get a TIF. Without that, we don't get any improvement. And we can't do it simply through donations alone. It'd be one thing to raise money once a year and be able to do all the things we want to do, but it doesn't work that way. And we also don't want to be the group that's always knocking on the door asking for a donation. So we know there are lots of needs. We don't want to be, standing in the way of other people getting what they need too. So we just have to work smart, I think, through all of this. And I'm excited by your energy. I think it's great that you're bringing these things forward and that we're able to talk about them. So thanks for the
I
time.
just want to make one comment. I think what I'm hearing Mr. Little saying is that there has been some philosophical differences in terms of how the community perceives us and how we perceive our role in the community. We can talk about downtown development of the DDA and downtown businesses. That doesn't speak loudly to the community about them, anything for them. It doesn't say anything to them. So when we talk about those, and I don't know where they begin at or where they end at, I just know that if it's perceived that way, then it's hard to be inclusive with our planning, even though it may be in our hearts and in our minds, but how the city perceives us or the rest of the city perceives us when we start talking about, even with the holiday lights, we do that, and that's, they see that as a downtown thing. I don't see any lights up on Broadway or any other places. I mean, there's, what I'm saying, they see that as a downtown initiative, and they see that as a practice that is totally for the downtown area. How that starts, how that ends, I really don't have any idea, but I do know that if it's perceived that way, then it makes it difficult when we're talking about sharing tax money to support someone that doesn't have us in mind when they're talking their business or when they're thinking about the things that they need to do or doing or who they're doing them for.
I didn't used to immerse myself in the holiday lights for whatever reason, but I have since I've been involved here. And last year in particular, I spent a lot of time down here trying to keep things going. There is so much community heart that comes out. It's like Halloween, but obviously a different season and a different event. But it drew a lot of people from not downtown, from the neighborhoods to our city to enjoy and basically just enjoy and love what we are and what we want to be. So maybe we can do more. I think we can probably, but we're doing a good job and it's getting better every year.
Well, yeah, and I understand that. I've been involved in the holiday lights myself, and I am no way by any means a celebrator of Christmas. Believe me, that's not my thing at all. We don't do it in my home, we don't do it in my life or among my friends or anything, but for the DDA, doing it as an initiative for the city of Benton Harbor and those who participate in practice, that I'm willing to do it to some extent.
What you're saying, it's beyond you, it's for us.
Yeah. So the thing is that the city doesn't know that we do things in the DDA that is for them.
Right.
They don't know that. They don't know. Whatever this philosophical difference is, whether we entertain it as something that is a second thought, a secondary thought, or if it's part of our initiative, it's two different things. And I understand that if it's not part of our initiative, then the city would be lost as to who we are in doing it.
It's the healthiest discussion I've ever heard in here.
So
And you're right on target with that perception issue. And one of the things I want to try to do is like we mentioned about what you're going to do with the Christmas lighting. I'm going to talk with the clerk and the chairman of the Economic Development Committee for the next meeting. Like to put something on there to say appreciation to the DDA for its work on the holiday lighting. And we have a representative come in there and simply say, DDA is pleased to be involved in helping to put this together and so forth. And I think we start, the point that's being made is it's not going to happen without a conscious effort. And that's what he's saying. So we can deal with that perception issue.
So let me give you a little background on how we got involved let me finish. We got involved in this project at all because of the fact that the Parks Conservancy was having so many issues and disintegrating. So we were asked to become involved to try to preserve some kind of celebration for the people of Benton Harbor. That was the only reason that the Downtown Development Authority got involved in doing this. And as the sort of person who pushed it among the board members at the time and continues to do it every year, this is meant to be a gift. So if the message got twisted on the way out, it's not about downtown per se. This is meant to be a gift to the people of Benton Harbor. When we had people at City Hall who organized this and brought all kinds of people downtown, it was a wonderful cultural experience. And that's what we were trying to replicate at a smaller scale without that budget. Every year we hope to grow it and to make it more successful. But it's only meant to be a gift. I mean, businesses can put up whatever they want to put up if they feel like they want to decorate. This isn't about them. This is about having a place that we can celebrate. And the name Holiday Light Celebration is specifically meant to be respectful of all the holidays that are celebrated in December through February. We don't want to exclude anyone. That's one of the reasons we don't make a big push about, this being a Christmas thing. Christmas is one of the holidays, absolutely, but we have others that we celebrate during the season of light, and we want to make sure that people do feel welcome and included.
And just for a brief history, the beginning of the lights, in fact, started with DDA back in the 80s. That was one of the things that we funded, putting up lights. We had banners up on the poles and even had the poles changed.
It was beautiful. And then it kind of ended for a while. And then Minnie Sims brought it back. So I'm doing this because of my experience with Minnie Sims.
Great wrap-up of history, and
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Deidre, is there something more you want to say?
I'm just going to say, talk about the power in the park. Did we remedy that? Is that a thing?
I'm still working on that. In fact, I was late coming up because I was waiting on a call back from Ron at Bedouin, but I'm working on it.
And I only said that too because I thought about it during the activities or when anybody has any activities down there. And it has been brought up a couple more times. So I was like, when you put it on the agenda, you can reference that's the importance of you working on that project and appreciation for the DDA that would need all of that working for holiday lights,
That
to the
topic-
commission.
that topic came up with Rootbound last night. They were trying to get their lighting working. Maybe you're tuned into that. He said he was waiting for a call back from yourself, I think.
So Jake, yeah, Jake at State Farm, who's going to put up the lights on the big trees around the edges, let me know that he's ready to start soon, but he was he's booked up, of course, but also was kind of waiting for the fences and stuff to come down. So far, that issue has not been an issue for us, and hopefully things will get straightened out when he gets started. He'll have what he needs. Wanted to let you know, too, that the I&M has offered to put lights on the big tree, to bring their own bucket trucks with their own crews and pay them to put up lights. So I think it's a wonderful offer. I did not want to go out and spend thousands of dollars because I think it's going to be at least $1,500 to $2,000 to buy the lights that we need to cover that tree without having a conversation with all of you and getting your feedback.
And we said no.
You said no to $5,000. So, and $5,000 and paying somebody to put the lights up. So now we've got free services, all the equipment we need without extra expense, and less than half the price. So how does that sit with board members? Does anyone want to?
Just for a reminder, what was our expense last year for Jake? And
The amount for the outer trees is $5,500. So,
And we had talked in another meeting about having the big tree added to it, which would have been an additional 5,000.
Right,
That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that's what
right.
we're talking.
So if someone would like to make a motion, we could have a conversation, a discussion, but I would like to entertain a motion to spend up to $2,000 to purchase the lights.
And this is for the purchase of the lights, not for getting it done.
Right, no installation, no equipment costs, just simply for the additional lights.
And the lights would be ours.
They would be ours, and I also don't expect to pay 2,000, I just want to have an upper limit. I'm planning to try to get a donation, but I can't guarantee how much will get donated. So, can I have a motion, please? All right, Ms. Fields, and is there any support? Okay. All right, any more discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. We won't spend more than 2,000, and hopefully we'll get them for half price at least.
You'll let me know when I need to do a stand-in.
Yes, and Virgil's volunteered to kind of be on site when they come to make sure that somebody's there to help guide them if they have any questions or make sure that things get done the way we hope that they should be done.
The only, well, I guess that covers it. Never mind. No, it actually does open up a thought, which I won't take too long to separate, but care of city properties and city center park is a prize that we have, and we tend to abuse it. It's still recovering from water line work and electrical work and a scar that was created when a fitness station was heading in and turned around. Those areas are all still recovering. A little bit of work that Rootbound did made some scars. Anything to avoid compaction and ruts and all that, or if they exist or are created, to repair them.
You probably need to be somewhere on the scene.
Well, it should be a policy within the city to have a follow-up on, or awareness of contractors in the city, and then a follow-up to make sure they don't leave scars and, basically take us down rather than up.
I think it's a great suggestion. We'll follow it.
All right. And I kind of expect that we're going to be buying some dirt and grass seed. It's just the nature of the beast at the moment with the weather. I think you pointed that out a while ago. Unfortunate, but maybe we can coordinate that with the repairs to the area that you're talking about with Rootbound.
That'd be great, and I don't want to take too much more time, but it is city and seasonal, really. The quicker we get the straw mesh back at Yarborough Park, it's all rolled up because the wind rolled it up and blew it away. It's still there. If it was put back in place and seeded, then we would have a chance to recover for spring. If we don't, we'll recover by a year from spring. Whoever the contractors are that are involved, maybe they're aware of that. And the only other thing is the water is now off there, but it appears that the lines weren't drained.
All right, so moving on, State Theater update. You can see that we're nearing the end of the pre-design and feasibility for the state building itself. We're awaiting the written engineering assessment. They've been trying to get through to the part of their company that did it and get the information back to us. They're also waiting for the estimating because they're going to give us estimates for the designs scenarios that we've asked for. So we'll have an idea of what actually the cost of rehabilitating just that building will be. On here you can see also that there's a proposal that you've got a copy of from Whiteman Associates. This is for what we've talked about at past meetings. It's to cover the additional costs of investigating the building next door and doing the same work that's being done on the theater building, on that building, so that we can determine whether or not the building can be used for the purposes we need it to be, or the land, to provide the extra spaces we need to make the theater a successful performing arts venue. So they'll go through the same processes of engineering assessment and report, along with designing the space, doing some design concepts for the spaces that we're asking them to produce. We need dressing rooms, green rooms, in order to comply with ADA requirements for larger bathroom spaces and maintain closer to 400 seats. Moving the restroom facilities out of the theater building and into that building would provide us with the space that we need and maintain that number of seats. So it's definitely something we need to do before we make a decision about how we move forward with the theater itself. But in either case, we have what we will get from Whiteman with the State Theater project that's already underway. We will get a concept that we could do on that footprint if we need to. And then I have drawings that, if you haven't seen them, I brought them at the last meeting, you can take a look. If it's feasible and it makes sense for us to do it, buying the other building and moving forward with that is also will be determined by what we learn through the process. The state of Michigan has agreed to give us $30,000 for that study, and that plus 4% is what they're estimating it would cost to do the same work that they're doing in the theater building for that building, and that's what's listed in the proposal. So I'd like to move forward with that. We need to submit this to the state in order to receive those funds before the end of December. Otherwise, we lose the funding altogether, and it's not available for anything other use. The state legislature appropriated it for this specific use.
We would definitely be remiss if we didn't.
Right.
I absolutely make a motion that we
All right.
submit this.
Thank you.
Second.
Yeah, second, third. Second, third.
All right.
So the meeting
More
on December
discussion?
17th, what time is that meeting?
That's at 5:30. So that's a committee meeting that you would be welcome to come to. And was going to explain to our friends at home. We had a meeting in October with a number of people who are potential users of the theater. So we presented to them the concepts that we have at that point, what we had to show, and talked with them about their level of interest in using the space for productions. Had really good feedback, I think, and some great interest, and we're somewhere close to 10, probably 10 different groups who will be involved. We expect that there are others. This is just a quick attempt to kind of organize people into more or less a creative group who can give us advice about the final design phases, but also for us to build our business plan for the operation of the theater based on what revenues we think we can anticipate from their uses, what a schedule might look like for the year. So I did not put down a list of who those people are, but I will name off a few just off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll leave some out. but basically trying to get the people who are around us initially. So the Ghostlight Theater has expressed an interest in producing musicals there, especially larger shows. The Citadel Dance Center is interested in doing recitals, Citadel and musicals, because they've been producing musicals. The Citadel Music School is interested in performing there. The Lake Michigan Big Jazz Band is interested in having a home and would like to make that their home place for performances. Brian Joseph and Jerry Price are interested in producing events that are traveling music groups that travel between Chicago and Detroit, and they've got a whole list of people they're already working with. So Benton Harbor would be a nice stop along the way to bring in musical acts. And we also, trying to think who else. The symphony is interested. We are trying to determine how much square footage in the stage we need to accommodate them. But part of the plan for the theater anyway is to create a modular stage that can be configured in the way that it would need to be for whoever's using it. Because there are times where you don't really need much of a stage, or you don't need any stage if you're showing film. There are designs where the pieces can be taken apart and stored under the stage and taken out when you have a big production where you need more space. So we're looking into that. That also frees up space in front. So for events where you've got different kinds of things happening, you have more floor space that's level actually in the front of the theater than up near the stage. So, things like fundraisers maybe where you want to put out some tables or something, or if you want to have some kind of music where you want a place for people to dance, if it's not a big group performing, and you can put them on a stage, smaller stage, you'd have room for dancing in the front. So it would add to our flexibility and hopefully keep us busy all the time.
Have any of you paid any attention to what's happening to Elkhart and the theater down there? It was just in the news just recently. They're opening their theater, and I think it's probably about a $15 million project, and they had a big grand opening for it, showing the first movie that was ever shown there, free popcorn and all kinds of stuff for the residents. It was just a big production after they finished the theater.
Yeah, they've got a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's in Indiana, right? Yeah.
Well, and larger, and they've got lots of money, which is great.
Well, yeah, it seems like most of their money came from the community.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of state money as well, but
Yeah.
the community was the big support.
Definitely. So we know there's interest. I mean, if that many people are willing to give to a project like that in Elkhart, even though they have more people and more money, perhaps, we do know that we have community support. And once we have something to show them and to talk to them about, I think we'll do pretty well ourselves to get this together. We're getting close to that point, which is what I really wanted to say. Ms. Fields?
Along those lines, I was just wondering too, if we had thought about having like a close by, how Richard had said before, like a mentor. Like, so how did Elkhart do that? Are we able to like consult them? We're pretty sure the DDA probably doesn't own it, right? But that's something.
The city does.
The city does, which is, okay, the
Same
DDA.
thing.
But what I meant is, that is another way for us to stand out, right? Like, if the city knows that we're responsible for the State Theater, which was huge in the city, that's different, right? How are we highlighting that, except from that one clip? I think the news guy came. But, and, maybe even asking Louise to, provide some kind of updates, and so that, and come to the meeting and see what we're talking about. The same way they try to the same way they promote for attendance at commission meetings for different, this could be the drama, literally,
Sure.
of the State Theater.
And I
for them
think
to
we're
come learn
nearing-
about.
Definitely nearing the time for an update. I'm waiting, at this point, they've done some initial takeoffs, but I'm waiting for the final. We've got renderings of the facade, and through different photographs of the building that, through the years, we found enough information to be able to show people the 1942 facade of the building, which we hope to restore to. So we'll have a beautiful color rendering of what the theater will look like when it's completed, with the marquee and all of the lighting on the marquee that hasn't been there for decades. So I'm really excited about that, and I think that's something that we would definitely want to show as many people as possible and get the word out. And I think that's also going to be the point at which we're ready to kick off our public promotion of the project and initiate a campaign. So we're just on the edge. I had hoped through our original agreement with Whiteman that all of that work would be done in August so that we could have done all of this kickoff stuff in this year. But I really think, based on timing now with the holidays and stuff, we don't want to get lost in the shuffle. So we're really talking about the beginning of January when we'll be able to really start to get the word out and get people excited. And the December meeting that I'm referring to is meant to be a smaller meeting for those people who are actually going to be involved in producing for the theater, just to also kind of bring them together to kind of get some cohesion in that group and collaboration. Because I think, especially for this project in particular, as with the other ones, no one of us is going to make this project a success. It takes a community of support, and it takes a community to make these things happen. And so the creative community has to be behind it, but the creative community also has to contribute to it. And by working with people to get them engaged at that level and then beyond, I think will be a success. Lots of people are saying they really want this to work out. They really want to be a part of it when there's a place for them to join in and something for them to do. And I think it's really exciting. I mean,
It is absolutely exciting. Just a brief, Deidre may have missed the last meeting or so, but we have a mentor, a very enthusiastic mentor in Plymouth, Michigan. We've visited there. It's been part of that. Penn Theater,
Friends of Penn, huh?
Friends of Penn, yeah. So we've got some help.
Hey, or just two comments. I guess we should also, I heard recently the Kalamazoo State Theater closed. Yeah, which is pretty sad. So I don't know if there's a way to reach out, just learn or understand how they failed, or if there's.
years in, they're ready for the next generation, I think.
How many years?
40.
40 years, yeah.
Right,
I
so the
remember.
owners are
Oh, yeah.
ready to,
Yeah.
it's owned by a family.
Okay, so it's privately owned, and they're hoping somebody else is going to
Right.
purchase it.
Right.
Yeah, keep it going.
Mothball it carefully.
Yeah, and, I didn't want to mention, be a downer after you mentioned the Elkhart Theater, which is a wonderful success, to get to that point. But they went through that same process of having a dark theater for decades and somehow mothballing and keeping it standing until they were able to start to improve it over time. So it's a process. In that case, the city of Elkhart owns their theater. In the case of Kalamazoo, it was a family-owned theater. So when you have a moment, I'm going to send you a link to, and I can send it to the rest of you too, Marquee Town. So the filmmaker came to Benton Harbor and was present for a screening of his film on the restoration of a couple of theater buildings that were turned into something else. But the history behind it and the work that a community did to restore these historic facades and make them contribute to their downtown is amazing. Actually, one of the things I was surprised when I was in Ann Arbor to see, there was a foot tour of Ann Arbor one evening, is the State Theater of Ann Arbor. I was surprised because I didn't realize it had been renovated. It's a Target store.
Oh, it's Target's.
You have no idea that it's a Target store. When you walk up to it,
This looks like a theater.
it looks like a theater. The marquee is there. It's just,
One of the theaters that's previewed in this, or Marquee Town, was a bookstore, right? And it became back, it was a theater, then a bookstore, and then it came back to a theater, or former theater space that's now got a new use. Very innovative, and a lot of heart and community. That's what these spaces provide, is a community, a place for the heart to live.
all right, so I think we've done all the business we have to do. If I'm
Hey,
looking
Rich,
at
just a
this
quick
right.
question. You mentioned,
Sure.
sorry, back to the State Theater. There were renderings of the facade that were done.
They're not done yet, but I saw initial renderings that were based on what information he had pulled together, and then I sent him back additional information, and we went back and forth to look at the photograph with very closely. It was hard to see the details, so he's redoing that, and once that's done, then we'll be able to use it however we want to use it.
Who's working on it?
Whiteman Associates.
Oh, Whiteman. So somebody from Whiteman is creating a drawing of
Yeah.
what it could look like based on historically. Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll look very different from what it looks like now, because the historic facade and marquee were, remembering that the theater opened in 1942, they were red, white, and blue. But it's burgundy, cream, and cobalt blue. So it's not quite so obvious as red, white, and blue. And then you've got that orangey gold color, which was an original color. So you can see when you next go by the theater or have a chance to look at it, you can see the burgundy peeking through the paint that's peeled off. So we hope to get back to that. And then, I don't know if you've noticed, on either side of the marquee, along the building itself, are steel panels where there were originally neon lights. So the whole front was lit all the way around with neon and the little lights underneath and all. So the facade will be much brighter when all that gets put back together. And also December, a company who was president at the Michigan Downtown Association is coming to look at the building, at the terracotta, because that's what that original facade is, and to kind of do some measurements and get an idea of what it might cost to restore it. This is the same company that did the restoration work of the Michigan Central in Detroit, and they do work throughout the state. It's their specialty, is restoring that kind of stuff. So we're getting a free estimate. Yeah.
Thanks to the event yesterday, Benton Harbor's in the light, I'd say nationally, probably, as the story grows, for the good things going on here, and the theater can be another good thing coming up.
Anyone have comments or questions or anything that you want to bring up?
Next time, we'll put it on the agenda.
All right. Yeah, if actually to that point, if you have things that you want us to talk about, please send them to me, because I will definitely put them on the agenda.
Maybe just a question. We know about the project that's coming out with Clement, that building, or the developer who's purchased the building, the Thayer building and a couple surrounding that. Have they reached out to us at all on, because it looks like they want to create like a vision and like start renovating. They've obviously started doing work on the old firehouse, but have they reached out to either the city or
Yeah.
DDA for help and trying to help figure out who could utilize the space that they're going to create?
I did have a chance, actually, right after they first started working on the outside of the building to clean up. Richard spotted them, and so I made contact with them, and I've had a number of conversations with them. They're very interested in what's already going on in Benton Harbor and trying to build on what they see as success. What we talked about specifically was some of the things that were missing in downtown, and also trying to preserve, since their properties are in the Arts District, trying to preserve spaces that could be accessible to artists. And so in their press release, you may have read something about the idea of market spaces and that kind of stuff. I think that was a direct response to probably not only me, but other people who had the same. So I think I've set up a number of meetings or contacts with other people in downtown for them to meet up with. I'm sure, Little, have they spoken to you?
I was going to suggest to you all and to them that they'd be an excellent addition to this group. They seem to be very progressive and willing to invest and participate.
So I think it's interesting and worth noting too, that their strategy is a long-term strategy, that they have the resources and the patience to build over time and aren't expecting a quick return, which is to everyone in Benton Harbor's best advantage, because, you know, there are no quick fortunes to be made here if people are doing things the right way. You know, it takes a long-term vision and willingness to wait for the repayment of your investments if you're going to work on something that will benefit the city of Benton Harbor. It's just the way it is.
And I think one thing that was really special about their being willing to become involved, after spending 2 years working in people's homes all over the city and getting to know the people, they decided to make their investment and become involved. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and they were, when I read over some of the information, they were talking about leaving it for their kids. So it's something to, you know, stick around. And when you're thinking about leaving something for a child, you want it to be in the best state, and it means you're vested. It means you know, like the community or see the light anyway. I think that's nice when it's not so much as a business aspect solely, right? But that it's community, it's family, and it's long term. So.
That article was really well-written and really motivated a lot of folks and maybe, you know, made them increase the thoughtfulness for long-term. Yeah, great. Yep.
It might also have made, created a little competition, which is, I think, a good thing for the city. Anyone else have a comment or question or concern? No?
I only, I guess, just a couple things, safety-wise. I've reached out to MDOT. I'm going to do it again because I haven't seen action. The roundabouts and the islands around the roundabouts often get attention this season, preparing for snow and things becoming invisible from being visible. I have a contact, so I'll follow through on that. I've tried to remind them that the detour signs are hazards. On a windy day, they end up wherever they end up. And I dragged them many off the street. I let public safety know. I got a thank you from public safety. I didn't get any reply. They contract all their signage out, so everything is 2 steps down the road. But if you ever see anything condition unsafe, deal with it if you can, or I guess let me know. Let public safety know.
Actually, at the MDA conference, I talked with a number of people about some of our issues, and one of them being, you know, the problems with Main Street and trying to get Main Street more walkable, and the failures of the 2007 plan because of the fact that they have done what they've done with the speed limits. Other people are really surprised at the fact that we're having such a struggle with them over those issues. I think we need to agitate more. Walking through Ann Arbor and seeing on their arterial streets, they've got bollards up at crosswalks. Our crosswalks at those roundabouts had bollards up, and they're all gone, and they have not been replaced. And that was an MDOT thing. It's part of their policy. It's part of what they should be maintaining when they're maintaining Main Street. And it's a hazard for the snowplows as well as for pedestrians who are trying to cross at those roundabouts. The people don't see them and take it seriously when they need to slow down. So if you have a conversation with them, please, I'd be glad to join in. But I think we really want to advocate for our own city. You know, we need a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit and nothing more, and we need them to take care of that street.
I'll do my part.
Just one ending note, I think we're probably about to end shortly. John, when you weren't here, we were talking about the communication committee, and I asked Rich to get me a list of phone numbers because I think I would be better able to coordinate this, our meeting time, if I had a phone number where I could talk to everybody directly rather than waiting on a response through an email or a text. So we'll try to get those meetings set up at the same schedule of Thursdays at 4:30, but maybe not every Thursday, but every other Thursday. And I'll call everybody and try to coordinate it if that's okay with you. Yeah. Okay.
One other thing,
We haven't chosen a date or time for the next meeting yet.
For the next meeting, and I'd like to coordinate it so that we can make sure we're gonna have some attendance. You know, it's Rich and I mean, you, Rich and I asked for, Nicholas Dunn was, not a board member, but a committee member. And try to get one of those days. We gotta get it around his schedule and his school schedule and your work schedule. The rest of us are pretty flexible.
one other thing, if you're done. I've had discussions with MDOT and the city about water caps along about where Voice of Music building used to be, the Iron Gate. There are 4 holes in a row there. They've been maintenance issues forever. The last, I think they're probably all uncapped now because I don't know why. But the last inverted cap, which sticks up above the street instead of down, is now gone. So I think there's probably 4 open holes that are about 8 inches in diameter that need a long-term solution. They've been an issue. One day I saw a cap pop out of a hole and kind of tangle with a car while it headed for the curb. I don't know if there's any, I know that Abner Marsh has been involved in that, and I don't know if there's any solution, but that's a safety concern that I have. The other thing related to contractors that I hit on earlier was, I guess we know the location of the fitness station or whatever we're calling it that's going to go on Water Street there now that the slab is in place. I expected that was going to be closer to the neighboring building, but there it is. Yesterday, I came across a contractor crew that was working for Comcast, and their horizontal boring equipment was on the new slab, which is not 30 days old, but they were there. I sent you a photo yesterday when I saw it, and they're out there today again, not on that slab because they completed that work. I didn't inspect the slab to see if it suffered, but that's an example of contractors that need orientation.
The holes you're referring to, they on territorial?
Main Street from the bank to Happy Poochie area. Mr. Marquardt is familiar with that area and those holes, maybe not the current status. The boring, it appears, was maybe leading fiber to the corner of Colfax and Main. That's what they're doing today while I was on the way to the meeting. And I don't know, maybe you do, how they get approval to do their work. I know that same crew actually hit a water line in my neighborhood, which made a big mess 2 years ago. So, you know, somehow keeping an eye on that sort of thing.
So, have we, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, and any support?
I'll second. I'll support it.
All right,
I second.
all right. All right,
We've
so,
adjourned. If anybody's,
all in
I just have
favor?
one other thing that isn't officially in the meeting. I had a follow-up from Relief Michigan, who is, they're a organization that helps communities around Michigan plant trees and enlighten residents about the value of trees and the benefit, health, environmental, everything else. Relief Michigan, relief being leaf spelled, right? Yeah, and they're great. I've been aware of them for a while. They helped us plant trees in Union Park, many of which are continuing to survive. Some of them are not. But their purpose in this initial contact is to come and make a presentation. And I'll learn about what that means, but it would be a step forward.
I would hope that we would welcome them because we'd love to have them come back and do some additional stuff with us. And we are in the process of trying to obtain a tank that we can put on our vehicles to be able to help water these trees and so forth when they need it.
That's great. I thought, I don't know, with maybe your approval, or if you just want to pass this on, I've communicated casually with Dane about this topic of trees and this organization. So I'll go ahead to him and coordinate on that. Adjourn.